Elliot Johnston, Dr. Elliot Johnston. I practice in Eufaula, Alabama. Been here about 18 years, and submitting the video for the contest for Jay's Lamborghini. Originally, I thought I'd do something like the guy over in Mississippi who did the Mission Impossible thing. It was very entertaining, great music, all that sort of thing, but I thought it might be more important to hear the heart of a story. And so just want to share mine with you, and hopefully it'll help you as you try to grow your practice. I've been in practice here in Eufaula for about 18 years. When I first started out here, I wanted to be the best dentist in town, and then I realized I was selling myself short. So I started getting a lot of continuing education. I did some at the Pankey Institute, the Dawson Center for Advanced Dental Study, just all over the place, hundreds of hours a year, and I grew my practice to a certain extent, and I kind of plateaued. But as we were doing better and better, I hired a consultant, and this consultant I met at the Dawson Center for Advanced Dental Study. He was the consultant for the practice down there in St. Petersburg, and so he came highly recommended, and I paid him about $20,000, and I did everything that he said. My Colby is a quick start with a little bit of fact finder in there, and I did everything that he suggested, and a lot of it was probably foolishness. I lost $20,000 that year, and I probably paid him about $20,000 that year, and so I was really burned with consultants. And so I kept doing continuing education, trying to grow my practice the best that I could. We were still plateaued. Actually, we lost as a result of him. It took a few years to rebound from that. I had some employees in place that I kept trying to make into oranges when they were designed to be an apple. And I heard about the Scheduling Institute with Jay, and so I signed up for the Scheduling Institute, the phone deal with the fairly inexpensive membership, and we did that, and it sounded really good because you're already marketing. It's just changing your way you answer your phone. I didn't really see much increase that I could tell, but I don't know that I was monitoring it as I should have. But I was really almost hoping that my front office would fail. Because I really didn't think that they were right for the job, but I couldn't just go in and fire them for, at least for me. They've been with me, say, 12 years, and I really had grown attached to them. However, I was almost hoping that they would fail, and then they passed, and I kept listening to the phone. I thought, this just doesn't sound right, and so I kind of got a bad taste, actually, for what I'd gotten, and so I really stopped the Scheduling Institute, and then I got to the point where I actually let her go, and I hired someone that I thought had the abilities to use those skills fairly well. I had her listen to some of the tapes, and I just tried to kind of piece it together the best that I could, and she learned really well. She's a great employee. However, probably the skill set still wasn't there, not in her, but in what I could teach her. And so a friend of mine that I was talking to had gone to one of Jay's events, and I happened to call him, and it was one of those things, if you've ever been to one of Jay's events where he gives out the money and they say give it to somebody, and that friend of mine actually paid for I guess us to go to or actually no, it was to get the some CDs or some DVDs or something from Jay, and so I did get those, and I watched those, and I thought, I just realized that there was something more to this whole thing. Jay says some things as he's teaching different people that led me realize that there was probably something more that maybe I had missed with my initial contact with Jay. And so really the next step before I was willing to commit, because I'd been burned so badly by the one consultant, is I wrote Jay a heartfelt letter, and I guess I may have even chewed him out a little bit about how the one front office person passed, and yet she still, in my opinion, was just really not a very good employee. And so I wrote kind of a very detailed letter, and I got a personal phone call from Jay, and we had a talk, and one of the things that I like about Jay that I need personally is he kind of shocked me. I mean, he wasn't necessarily apologetic. He was a little bit, but it was more, well, you got this wrong, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I am the type of person that I don't need fluff. I don't need somebody stroking me. I need somebody that's more going to get up in my face and say, you're doing this wrong, and you need to do this. And so I began to, we re-signed up for the Scheduling Institute. I began tracking different information. I got my front office person trained and certified through the Scheduling Institute, and we really started to see some increase. The other thing that Jay had recommended is we went with the Stony Brook and did a lot of marketing, and so we started growing finally. And this was probably 2010, about right after the bad year of 2009, and we had our best year ever. And so we joined Platinum in 2011. And I would say that 2011 was absolutely our best year ever. We have almost doubled what we did 2 years before. I have 6 employees where I had 3 employees. In a minute I'm going to show you around my office just a little bit, and what I want you to look at maybe is all the clutter, because we're just out of space and we just had nowhere to put anything. What I would say that that the Scheduling Institute has done for me personally, yes, we've increased our revenues. It's the wonderful things. It's given me some wiggle room, allowed me to get into some technology that I've been wanting to for years. But practicing for 16 years and kind of plateauing for 10 years, Jay talks about you can't give your staff raises. I mean, just a lot of different things that it's not that it was necessarily bad, but I did want more, and I had invested so much in continuing education, and we just thought, if people don't know we're here, it does no good to have all that continuing education. And one of the things Jay says is, stop doing all that continuing education. Let's worry about growing the practice. But I had never really done a whole lot of marketing or anything with regards to building the practice besides what I was doing for continuing education. I've been able to do some wonderful dentistry, some full mouth reconstruction. I love what I do, but it is a little frustrating when you, at the end of every year, the numbers are the same and staff's wanting raises and you don't have anything to give them. And so I would say what the Scheduling Institution, or Institute, not institution, the Scheduling Institute has done for me is more giving me a hope for a bigger and grander future. My practice is probably on the small end originally. We sit in these seminars with Jay, and we see about these 5Xers and these multi-million-dollar practices, and that's all great and wonderful, and that is certainly a goal for all of us to attain. But I think when you're a practice like mine that's relatively small with a handful of employees, there's so many levels that you need to go through before you can even get there. But I do have a hope that we can get there. So as a result of doubling our practice in production, we're on target this year to do at least that well. The brighter future for me is, Jay talks about space and equipment, human capital, and marketing. And we've done the marketing, and I've invested in human capital, but we're out of space. And so I'm so excited because this year we're closing in a couple of weeks a 6,000 square foot facility, but we're gonna take up about 3,000 of that, so I'll be able to rent out a certain portion of that. That wasn't even a thought process several years ago. It had been a thought process maybe 5 years into practice, 6 years into practice, but I'd kind of, I guess you'd say I'd kind of died to that because I didn't think it was a reality. And so for me, the grandest thing is just the reality of the possibility of a future where I can implement the technologies and do the things that I really enjoy doing. Yeah, money's great. You got to have money to do that. The money that I have at this point creates the wiggle room so that I can start implementing these things, and I can see it getting better and better. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm just going to take a moment and show you the office, and then I'm going to give you a taste of the future that we have here at my practice. We're just going to do a real quick tour of the office. This is what our patients get to see as we do a new patient tour. Out here is reasonably straight. It's the first sign that they see. However, you can see in here just all the clutter that they get to see. We go back into the other areas of the office, and as we just pan into the rooms, just want you to see how basically how cluttered it is, how there are things everywhere. That doesn't necessarily set the best tone for the patients. Again, a hygiene room. We got a computer standing over in the corner. It's just cramped. And this is my sterilization area, all 4 feet by 4 feet. That's it. We have 2 other operatories. Again, you know, not terrible. We have a small, tiny little dark room back here. I'm not going to bore you with the whole office, but we are in desperate need of more space. This is the front office. You can see there's just stuff out everywhere. Drives me nuts, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. We've got space where we've got things cluttered up underneath all the cabinets, trying to keep the patients. There's our new patient gifts. We just need more room. This is our chart area. You can see in the back, that's our behind the scenes area, backstage, and it's just stuff everywhere. Just a hot mess. And then the patients have to go through this area to get to my office, which is relatively neat.
I don't know if you can hear me right now because there's a lot of noise, because we're moving to a facility of 6,000 square feet with about 30,000 cars that come by here every day. So we're really excited. We're going to have 8 operatories. It's just going to be huge. Going to have space for everything.
As you can see, this film is raw, very raw, and unedited. But I do want to let you know that I do stop. As you can see, we're very excited about our future here. I give the credit to the Scheduling Institute. However, I do want to warn you a little bit. You can't just pay thousands of dollars or whatever it is and expect all this stuff to kind of happen. As Jay says, you got to get you some, because you've got to make the tough decisions. You've got to get rid of some staff. You've got to make sure that you implement what Jay tells you to do. I'm excited about the future. It can happen, but it's going to be a partnership. Scheduling Institute is a great resource. It's going to get you there, but you need to comply. Have a great day.